You know how some wedding nights come with candles, rose petals, and that gentle piano music playing in the background? Yeah, this one not so much. After a lovely ceremony, an open bar that got a little too open, and a tearful first dance to a slow jazz number no one quite recognized, newlyweds Karen and David finally retired to their honeymoon suite. It had been a whirlwind day, full of toasts, cake, and emotional chaos that comes with blending two very different lives. David, a sharp-witted, by-the-books lawyer, was still adjusting to the idea of being married. Karen, radiant in her still intact white gown, had been through this before. 5 times before, in fact, as she stepped into the suite, still glowing from the ceremony and maybe the 3 glasses of champagne she'd had earlier. Karen turned to her new husband with a playful, yet slightly nervous smile. "David," she said softly, her voice dipping into that serious tone that always precedes a bombshell. "Please be gentle with me. I'm still a virgin." David blinked. The air in the room thickened. He tilted his head, unsure if she was joking. "What?" he asked, his brows knitting in disbelief. How can that be? You've been married 5 times. Karen let out a long sigh, walked over to the bed, and sat down with a tired smile. "It's a long story, but since we're married now, you deserve to hear it." David sat beside her. The lawyer in him perked up, sensing a deposition-like confession. But the man in him, he was baffled. Karen began. Husband 1 was a sales representative. Charming, smooth-talking, always promising the stars. On our honeymoon, he kept talking about how amazing it was going to be. "Just wait," he'd say. "You're going to be so satisfied." But night after night, it was all hype, all pitch, no product. We never got past second base. David raised an eyebrow. Husband 2, she continued, was an engineer. A sweet guy, really. Knew the mechanics of it all. He had charts, diagrams, even tried to show me a PowerPoint one night. But he was obsessed with optimization. He wanted to build a better way, something more efficient, less intrusive. He said we needed 3 years of testing, development, and simulations before we should even try. So, nothing ever happened. David let out a small laugh. Karen gave a half smile. Then came husband 3. He was in marketing. Honestly, very attractive. Great presentation. But he was never sure how to position it. He'd start, then stop. He was always questioning timing, setting, lighting. "Is this the right demographic?" he'd ask. I think he was more focused on branding than anything else. David chuckled again. "You're kidding me." Karen shook her head. "I wish I were." She took a breath and went on. Husband 4 was a psychologist. Thoughtful, deep, and always processing. He spent our honeymoon asking me how I felt about intimacy. He wanted to talk through my childhood, explore emotional readiness, define expectations. We had 100 conversations and 0 physical connection. David was now outright laughing. Karen wasn't done. Husband 5, the stamp collector, quiet man, gentle hands, great with tweezers. But all he ever did was admire from a distance. He'd get close, study everything, but he never quite engaged. God, I miss him. That last line caught David off guard. "You miss him?" Karen giggled. "Well, he was the only one who didn't leave me emotionally exhausted." The two sat in silence for a moment. Then David asked, "And now me?" "Why the excitement?" Karen stood, walked to the window, then turned with a playful smirk. "Because you, my dear, are a lawyer." David narrowed his eyes. "And that means..." Karen stepped closer, leaned in, and whispered, "This time I know I'm going to get screwed." David stared at her, speechless. Then he laughed so hard he nearly fell off the bed. "Unbelievable," he said through gasps. "So I'm the chosen one, huh?" Karen smiled. "Let's just say, I have high expectations." They kissed, and as the night unfolded, it turned out that lawyers could deliver on promises, just with a lot more paperwork and one heck of